Hello student, today I am going to discuss a new chapter, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. In this plant we are going to discuss following topics. First is structure of flower, next structure of stamen, development of anther, development of microspore, development of male gametophyte, and structure of pollen grains. Sexual reproduction in flowering plant. In this chapter we are going to discuss only about the sexual reproduction, although flowering plant also reproduce by asexual reproduction or vegetative reproduction that you have studied in previous chapter. So in this chapter only sexual reproduction, we will discuss about the sexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction takes place because of the fusion of male and female gametes. These male and female gametes are produced by flower. These are produced by flower. So flower is a modified stem which functions as a reproductive organ and produces ova or pollen grain. Next is structure of flower. A flower consists of 4 parts: calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Parts of the flower. First part is the calyx. It is the outermost wall of the flower. It is composed of leaf-like green sepals, and their function is to protect the flower during early stages. Next part is the corolla. This is the second wall of the flower. It consists of number of colored petals. The colored petals attract the insect for pollination. Next part is the androecium. It is the third part of the flower. It is the male reproductive organ. It consists of filament and anther. Next part and the fourth part of flower is the gynoecium. It is the innermost part of the flower. It consists of ovary, style and stigma. Here in this figure you can see different parts of the flower. For example, these are sepals, these are petals, androecium, in the center gynoecium. So these are different parts of a flower. Next is stamen, the male reproductive organ. This stamen is also known as microsporophyll. It consists of 2 parts, the filament and anther. This upper part is called the anther and this long stalk is called filament. Anther may be a monothecous or a dithecous. A monothecous anther is one which have only one lobe, and dithecous anther is one which have 2 lobes. Here you can see that it's a dithecous anther. It has 2 lobes, one and second lobe. So it's a dithecous anther, and monothecous anther is one which have only one lobe. Now 2 anther lobes, they are connected together with the help of some sterile parenchymatous tissues known as connective. These are present here. So these 2 lobes, they are connected together with the help of connective. Next is the structure of anther. A dithecous anther which has 2 lobes contain 4 microsporangia and known as tetrasporangiate, whereas monothecous anther contains only 2 microsporangia and known as bisporangiate. These microsporangia, they are located at the 4 corners of the anther. All these microsporangia, they are covered by a common epidermis. There are 4 different types of 4 different layers are present around the microsporangia. First is the epidermis. It is the outermost layer and protective in nature. Next is endothecium. It is radially arranged elongated cells. They are present just below the epidermis, and there is a fibrous thickening is found. At some places the fibrous thickening is absent, and there is a thin wall endothecium is present, and that part is known as stomium. Next part is the middle layer. It is 3 to 4 layer thin walled cells which are present just below the epidermis, and later on they degenerate and provide nourishment to growing microspore mother cells. Innermost part is the tapetum. It is nutritive in nature. Here in this figure you can see different parts. The epidermis is present. The outermost layer is the epidermis. This one is the endothecium. These three layers are the middle layer, and innermost is the tapetum, and here sporogenous cells are present. Here I am going to discuss about the differences between the monothecous and dithecous anther. A monothecous anther is one which contains only one theca or lobe. Here in cross section you can see in red color there is only one theca is present in monothecous anther. This monothecous anther contains two microsporangia. That's why they are known as bisporangiate. Next one is the dithecous anther. Dithecous anther are those which contains two theca or lobes. These two theca or lobes, they are interconnected with the help of sterile parenchymatous tissues known as connective. Dithecous anther, they contain 4 microsporangia, and that's why known as tetrasporangiate. Next is the development of anther. Young anther consists of homogeneous mass of parenchymatous cells which are surrounded by epidermis. Soon it becomes four-lobed. In each lobe there are some hypodermal cells. They differentiate to form the archisporial initials. These archisporial initials then divide to form outer primary parietal cell and inner primary sporogenous cell. The primary parietal cell again divide mitotically to form 3 to 5 wall layers, that is endothecium, middle layers and tapetum. The primary sporogenous cells divide mitotically to produce a mass of sporogenous cells or microcyst or microspore mother cells. There is a shallow depression between the different microsporangia, and that region is known as line of dehiscence or stomium. Here is a flow chart which describes the development of anther. First, the hypodermal cells. You can see here, this one is the epidermis. Below this there is a layer called hypodermal cells. These hypodermal cells differentiate to form archisporial cells. Both of them are haploid. Then these archisporial cells again divide mitotically to form the outer parietal cell. You can see here, these are the archisporial cell, and they divide to form the inner primary sporogenous cell and outer primary parietal cell. These parietal cell again divide mitotically to form the diploid endothecium, middle layer and tapetum. Here you can see the different layer of this microsporangia. This outer one is epidermis, then second one is endothecium. There is a 2 or 3 layers which are middle layer, and innermost layer is called endothecium, and in the center there are some microspore mother cells are present. Next is development of microspore or microsporogenesis. The process of formation and differentiation of microspores from the microspore mother cells by reductional or mitotic division is called microsporogenesis. Here also young anther, which consists of epidermal cells together with sterile mass of parenchymatous tissues, it soon becomes four-lobed. Then some of the hypodermal cells, they divide or differentiate to form the archisporial cells. These archisporial cells again divide to form the outer primary parietal cell and inner primary sporogenous cell. The primary parietal cells divide to form 3 to 5 wall layers, and these are endothecium, middle layer and tapetum. Primary sporogenous cells divide to produce a mass of microspore mother cells. The microspore mother cells, they develop a callus which breaks the plasmodesmal connection between them. These microspore mother cells then divide meiotically to form the 4 haploid microspore, and these 4 haploid microspores, they are arranged in tetrad, either in tetrahedral or isobilateral fashion. Here is also a flowchart to describe the development of pollen grains or microspore formation or microsporogenesis. Here you can see the hypodermal cells which differentiate to form the archisporial cell. These archisporial cells divide mitotically to form the outer parietal cell and inner sporogenous cells. Outer parietal cells again divide mitotically to form the endothecium, middle layer and tapetum, and in green you can see that inner sporogenous cells which are diploid, they divide mitotically to form the microspore mother cells. They are again diploid, but these microspore mother cells divide meiotically or reductional cell division takes place and 4 haploid microspores are formed. Next is the development of male gametophyte. Microspore or pollen grain is the first cell of the male gametophyte. It undergoes 2 mitotic division to form the male gametes. Here this is the first microspore with a nucleus. Here you can see that some vacuoles develop which pushes the nucleus to one side of the cell. These nucleus divide mitotically to form a larger tube or vegetative cell and a smaller generative cell. A layer of callus developed around the generative cells which separate the cell from the pollen grain wall, and callus wall dissolves and generative cells comes to life freely in the cytoplasm. Later on, generative cells divide into 2 non-motile male gametes. In some species, the generative cells divide into 2 non-motile male gametes prior to dehiscence of anther and release of anther. Therefore, pollen grain is either 2 or 3 celled at the time of pollination. The tube nucleus descends to the tip of the pollen tube after pollination. The generative cell also passes into pollen tube. Next is the structure of pollen grain. The wall of covering of pollen grain is called sporoderm. This sporoderm is made up of 2 layers, outer exine and inner intine. Exine is made up of highly resistant fatty substance sporopollenin. Sporopollenin is not degraded by any enzyme. It is resistant to high temperature, enzyme, strong acid and strong alkali. Intine is made up of pactocellulose tectum. It provides a characteristic designs over the surface of pollen grains, and different types of designs are present on the surface of pollen grains. In insect pollinated pollen grains, there is a yellow, viscous, oily, sticky substance is present that is known as pollen kit. At the time of pollination, these pollen grains stick to the body of the insect and transfer to the stigma of another flower. At certain places, the exine is thin or absent, known as germ pores. There are 3 germ pores in dicot and known as trichoplate, and there are only single germ pore in monocot known as monocoplate.